Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I am really excited to come to you today. I am here to complete the loop. We came a couple weeks or even months ago to show the preview of back then declarative copilots that we are integrating with Visual Studio Code and Teams Toolkit and so on and so forth. So I came a couple months ago and we showcased the experience. Today, what is really cool is I'm coming back to announce that all these things have been rolling out and are still rolling out up to this day into Copilot tenants. But if you are a Copilot customer, you might have started to see our agent panel now here, right here on the right, where you can create agents, get Copilot agents, and see the agents that you have been building. We have been rebranding some of the things. So now if you are used to custom copilots or declarative copilots or custom engine copilots, all of that are now agents, so declarative agents, custom engine agents, and not custom agents. We don't do that anymore. But everything is now available. So what I want to show today is really the new experience that we have building declarative agents using Teams Toolkit for anything that wants to build this as a pro code experience. But you also have the option to do it as a low code experience. So I'll quickly show you what the low code experience looks like, what you can actually do, but then I'm going to transition quite rapidly to the pro code experience to make sure that you can see both sides of the fence based on what you really want to build in your organization. So let's start. Let me zoom in maybe a little bit more so you can see it a little bit better. So now on the right-hand side in Copilot, you have the option to either expand or collapse this bar here, where you will find a Create Agents button. And when you create the agent, you will have this experience. This experience will bring you to build a declarative agent directly inside BizChat. Inside BizChat, that is the Copilot app. And you can just start by saying, I want to create an agent that is an expert at talking like a pirate. And based on the conversation you're going to have with what we call agent builder, or this experience to build the agent, and this is how great this is, right? Something went wrong. Something is I'm on a what we call dog fooding tenants here, so it might be something happening with this, but I'll just try again. I want to build an agent that is an expert at talking like a pirate, and we'll see if that actually goes through, and if it doesn't go through, we're just going to revert back to our Teams Toolkit experience. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time in here, but I want to show that it's possible. Well, it looks like this is not going to happen today. I'm sorry, folks. It used to work earlier today. We did our demos and everything was working, so I'm sorry for that. But the point here is that now you will get the ability to create these agents directly from within the experience. Anybody in your organization, this is all governed. You can decide who can create what, but you can always create agents directly from this UI. So you will be able to really bring the agent model to everybody in your organization. If you're more of a pro code type of person, where you really want to control a little bit more the experience and you want to live inside Visual Studio Code, well, let me bring you to Teams Toolkit. I'm already here in VS Code. I have Teams Toolkit open on a brand new project. And here on the left, I'm going to have different options. I want to see the docs. I want to see the how-to guides, but I also want to see the create a new app. Now, create a new app will be what will launch the initial scaffolding of a new declarative agent project. So first, you're going to want to select the Copilot agent capability, where you're going to be able to select that you want to create a declarative agent. Do you want to add or you don't want to add a plugin? Plugins are ways to access external systems in real time. So think about it as a way to access an API that you have available somewhere and that you want to make it available to the agent you're building to ensure that it can call in real time that API. A scenario for this, and that's a scenario we're going to use today, is I have a repairs organization. My organization is all centered around our field team that goes in to customers and fix things, a bunch of different things. Well, in that case, I want to be able to get the list of the latest repairs and their statuses. We want to have it in real time, so you're never using any cached data, anything that might have been stored in some intermediate place. No, you want to connect to your database right away, and that's how you're going to do it, by adding a new plugin. So that's what I'm going to do today here. I'm going to add a plugin inside my agent. Either you don't have an API, so you might want to create that API. You know that you have a database, but you don't have something that makes this API data or that database data available to the end users. Or maybe you already have an API that's already described as an open API document, and you might just want to use it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start with an open API description document. Here, that either I have it already local on my machine where I can browse a path to get an open API file, either as a JSON, as a YAML file, or I can also search. So here, I can just click on search, and now you are in a capability where you can search for any API that lives on a public store. We are indexing a ton of open APIs that are available out there that get you access to either your internal systems when you're logged into your GitHub Enterprise account, for example, or anything that might be public. Let's think about a weather API, or maybe a stock exchange API. In our case, I know that the repairs API that I'm looking for is available on that public repository. So here I'm just going to search for repairs. I'm going to see a list of different APIs. And the first one is this one, which is the Samples Repair Hub API that I'm just going to hit select here. What's going to happen is I'm going to be presented with all the different capabilities of this API. This API is a simple API. It has one endpoint and 4 different HTTP methods. These HTTP methods are basically the capabilities of that API. Either I can get the APIs, I can delete, I get the repairs, I can delete a repair, I can patch or update a repair, or I can post, I can add a new repair. In my case, I really care about getting and creating new repairs. That will give me 2 scenarios. First, as a maintenance worker, I can check what are the different repairs that are assigned to me. Second, I can post, meaning that I can create. So while I'm on site and I find another repair that needs to be fixed, but I don't have time right now, I will be able to create just a very simple record as part of my Copilot app, and I will be able to add that automatically. Once I'm done, once I selected everything, I can just hit generate. I'm going to be able to say I want to have it in my Teams app folders. I'm going to call it Contoso onboarding 3, just for the sake of it. And now I just created what I like to say is the most simple app that you've ever created. It took you 2 minutes to get started, a couple of choices, selecting your API, and from there, we created basically everything for you. What did we create? Well, first, we created a Teams app. That Teams app is just a regular Teams app built using Teams Toolkit. We're leveraging the Teams Toolkit manifest or the Teams manifest with everything it requires. Developer info, icons, the name, a description. Close these things as they show up. Some colors. And here, something really important, Copilot extensions and declarative Copilots. These are the elements that will let that Teams app know that We have a declarative agent in this app, and this declarative agent is at this file path. It is linking to a declarative agent.json. Well, let's go and take a look at the declarative agent.json file that got created. It's actually pretty simple. We have just this. It is a schema, a version, a simple name. I'm going to call it Contoso onboarding agent just to make it pretty. The description here, it's a declarative agent that is an expert at repairs. That's going to be helpful when you're going to search for your declarative agent in the team store, for instance. Then I have my instructions. We're going to come back to that. And I have my actions. My actions are the actions that it can take in real time to my remote APIs. Also here, we have a reference to that AI plugin.json. So let's have a look at this file that just got created. If I go here, I look at this file. Here, there's a lot that got generated. So first, it generated these two things. It generated the conversation starters. So I'll be able to say list all repairs, create a new repair. So these will be ways to engage with the end user by letting them know that, hey, by the way, these things are possible in that agent. So you will be able to start with existing starters. And then here, I'm basically saying what is available. What are the capabilities? First, I can do a create repair. I can do a list repairs. This is automatically hooked into the Open API file that got created. We're going to come back later to this, but it just created an Open API file for us. In the list repairs, I have the option here to say, this is the description, and you can really improve the description. You need to think about the fact that you're building AI solutions. By having more and more relevant descriptions, you're going to help our systems to understand what you really want the user to do with it. So when the user asks a question that is not directly related to your API, maybe we're still going to understand it because the description is so rich that we're able to semantically match it to this function. And afterward, we can define, and that was automatically generated, can define an adaptive card. So when the results from the API are coming back, we will automatically snap an adaptive card on top of it to make it look really pretty, to make it look even more reliable, more useful for the end user that is using the Copilot agent. So that's the adaptive card here. And at the end, we have the runtimes. And the runtimes here, it means we have different types of runtime, one being an Open API runtime, the very specific URL. That's the file that we're using that defines all the things of the API. What's in there? The parameter name. Are they required? What are the descriptions of these parameters? So that way, Copilot, when it tries to call the API, it will make sense of that Open API file, will automatically bring it in the context. We'll try to match what the user says, we'll match the intent to what exactly the user says, and then we'll call the API based on that. You're going to see here that the auth is currently set to none. Today, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about authentication. But next week, Bob German will actually continue this demo to make it way more interesting and way more useful to go through the trade research demo that we've been doing. And this will be secured, meaning that you will be able to really have the full end-to-end experience that keeps your data secured across Copilot and your API. So that's the only thing I need to do here. I have my agent. It's calling an API. My API was generated automatically. We have other couple things that we can do here. We have different capabilities inside a Copilot agent. A Copilot agent can have different capabilities. The first one is it can enable web search, meaning that when you're going to ask questions to the agent, you will be able to say, by the way, extend the results, not just to the LLM memory that exists, but also to the web. You're also going to be able to say something like, I want to be able to have graph connectors. So if you're building graph connectors, and a really cool news that came up in the last couple of weeks, where we're now expanding the number of items of graph connectors to 50 million per tenant, you will be able to really ingest a lot of that data, and you'll be able to specifically say that you are interested in a single connection. So you're going to really be able, for instance, to ground your agent in a very specific niche of your tenant. It's the expert at the Contoso connector. It's the expert in your ITSM system. It's the expert in your ADO work items. With this, you're really going to simplify the life of the users that are building on top of the platform. Finally, you'll be able to bring OneDrive and SharePoint content. So that OneDrive and SharePoint content will automatically help you ground the agent on a specific site, folder, or even file that you think is relevant in this context, and it will use semantic search to ensure that the query from the user is translated into semantic searching, that we're going to bring back the results back to you. So for doing that, you'll be able to say, either you want to do it by SharePoint IDs, maybe you already have the SharePoint IDs that you want to use here, or by a URL. And here you would be able to say something like contoso.sharepoint.com/site/onboarding/ that case, maybe not super useful to go to the all items at ASPX, but you would be able to do it with a shared documents library, for instance. So that way, now, in this very specific case, my declarative agent is now grounded on the web, so anything will actually be able to go out and search for web resources around the topic that I'm searching for, that I'm asking for. Inside the graph connectors, in OneDrive and SharePoint, but also we'll be able to reach out to perform certain actions that we really care about in this case, which is to get a list of repairs, but also to get a list, to be able to create repairs. So let me remove the capabilities for now, and let me deploy this. Before I deploy, actually, I want to show you the instructions. The instructions is really where a lot of the magic can happen. So for instance, I have an instructions file here. And this instructions file, let me just wrap it so it's easier for everybody. Come on, you can do it. You will be able here to really, with natural language, you will be able to ground your agent in a little bit more context. So you could do something. You are an expert at answering repairs question. You will never answer anything else. Always refer to your expertise. So in this case, it means that when the user will ask for something, it's not going to go try to do. If you ask about, I don't know, the best recipe for something, it's going to say, I'm not an expert at that. Please come back to asking questions about repair. So it's going to be a way to guide your agent really rapidly. And you will be able to also add really complex instructions here. You have 8,000 characters worth of complex instructions that you can use here. Like, take that to your advantage. Make sure that you are building a set of instructions that makes a lot of sense for the agent, especially when you start building more complex scenarios around agents. For now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave it at you're an expert at answering. And here, what I like about instructions is that it doesn't really care about typos. It's going to figure it out anyways, but still, I'm going to make it that way. So how you do that? You go to your extensions here, not extensions, sorry for that. You go to the lifecycle panel and you just hit provision. And as the provision will happen, your Copilot agent will be fully available on the other side. So let me do the provisioning here, and I'll just, as soon as we hit the 5 out of 5, you will be able to go here. I'm going to do that right now. Just going to go here and I'm going to refresh. And now you will find our Contoso onboarding agent available right here. And I can actually pin it so it's going to always be on top, because that's one of my favorite declarative agent, right? So now I can just click on this and start the conversation. Well, I can just say, list all the repairs and format them as a table, including the title, the description, and the person assigned. And now what it's going to do, it's going to detect. Oh, you asked me to list all the repairs. Wait a second. I know that I have this as part of my Contoso onboarding. Either I want to always allow or allow once. For demos, I prefer to do allow once just so we can see that dialogue. But as a user, you would probably do always allow in this case. I'm just going to do allow once for now. Now it's going to call. It's going to call that API. And now it just brought it back with a bunch of different, you see here, there's a lot of ACs that needs to be repaired. It's an API we're using internally to do some of our tests. So that's why we see all of that. But we see it right now. It's really, really cool, right? It's everything is there. You are able to do that. You can also say, look at that. So now you can see maybe all these people that are assigned to. So let me just, I'm just going to copy this. I can say, list all the repairs assigned to user 05, because I want to get these things. So what it's going to do here, it's going to understand it a little bit more. It's going to be able to map the intent to some parameters in my API, which is the assigned to, which is user 05 in that case. And now it's going to, my API has this capability that's just described in my open API. And now it just got all the different repairs directly from that. We also now have the opportunity to see, as part of the plugin developer info, everything that happened, including that I was able to find these two functions. I selected the list repairs functions. I called it and I got a 200 OK. And now you can even see the content of it. So you can really see what is the call that was made and how it was returned to you. So as a developer, that is really cool, because now you can really see how your API was called, with which parameter and what was the response that came back. Finally, we said that I'm on site and I see something. I'm not happy about something that is broken. So here I'm going to say, create a new repair called something is wrong, and assign it to Vesa. Sorry, Vesa. You're going to be the one that will need to go and fix this one. So now it's going to automatically generate that create with the body that is this one. So it's going to already do a full post to this, assign it to Vesa. Now it's going to confirm, and we're going to get the result back saying that I was able to create this, and now something's wrong. Now we're good to go. So that's what I wanted to showcase today and kind of make it real for you, because now that is landing in your tenants as we speak. So we're really looking forward to see what you're about to build with these things. To get started, aka.ms/m365 Copilot Dev. And from there, you'll be able to get started with Copilot agents, and you will be able to get started building those using either pro code or low code tools. So back to you, Vesa.